Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are here to give you the essential knowledge and insights you need, pulled directly from a stack of curated sources.
Today we're doing a pretty crucial deep dive into the financial philosophy of Robert Kiyosaki.
We'll be drawing heavily from his seminal work, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and of
Yeah.
course the cash flow quadrant.
And our mission today isn't just to summarize. We really want to quickly extract the core lessons. The reasons why a good education and a good job often don't lead to financial freedom.
Right, we want to understand the mental shifts you need to make to stop, chasing money and start having money work for you.
And Kiyosaki sets the stage with a very simple but, well, a pretty provocative claim. He says the main reason people struggle financially, even when they're working hard, getting advanced degrees, is a massive education gap.
They learn how to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer.
Exactly. They learn the professional skills, but they're never actually taught how money operates, how to manage their own financial system.
It's fascinating, right? How society basically trains us to be really good employees.
People who want security, a steady paycheck.
Yeah.
But it fails completely to teach us the language of assets, of investments, of taxes.
And that lack of financial vocabulary, well, it makes us vulnerable.
Absolutely. And he exposes that vulnerability immediately with his first and probably his most controversial claim.
Yes. Let's get right into this. We're going to unpack why Kiyosaki challenges the belief that your house is an asset.
Okay, let's do it. Because if your main residence, your home, isn't an asset,
Right.
then what is?
Kiyosaki really grounds his whole philosophy in this idea he calls financial literacy.
Right. He insists that true financial success is not measured by your annual income, not how much money you make.
It's about how much you keep. And maybe more importantly, what that money does for you once you have it.
Which leads directly to his golden rule. Rule number 1.
You must know the difference between an asset and a liability, and then you have to buy assets.
And here's where he really departs from, let's say, traditional accounting.
How so?
For Kiyosaki, the definition is, it's brutally simple. It's all about cash flow.
Okay, so define an asset for us in his terms.
An asset is just something that puts money in your pocket every single month.
So things like rental income from a property.
Exactly. Rental income, dividends from stocks, maybe royalties, money coming to you.
And a liability then is obviously the opposite.
Anything that takes money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Every month. So credit card debt, car loans, and yes, according to him, your primary residence.
Because of the mortgage, the taxes, insurance, all the maintenance.
Precisely. And this is so crucial because the middle class often buys liabilities they think are assets.
So if we visualize the cash flow, what does that look like?
Well, for a poor person, it's simple. Income equals expenses. For a rich person, income flows to the asset column, which then generates more income.
But the middle class, they're caught in this perpetually draining cycle.
Exactly. The income comes in and it immediately flows right back out through these huge liabilities. The mortgage, the car payment.
The student loans, consumer debt.
Right. So their asset column is often totally empty. Or, it's filled with something they can't touch, like a 401k.
And the net result is they just have to keep working harder and harder to service all the debt they took on trying to look rich.
Yeah, that cash flow pattern.
Yeah.
That's the definition of the rat race.
Yeah.
You have to keep working because if that paycheck stops, the whole house of cards collapses.
That's a perfect lead-in to our next section, escaping that very rat race. Because this is where it gets really interesting. If the rat race is the prison, what's keeping the doors locked?
What drives that cycle of get up, go to work, pay bills?
Yeah, the cycle that traps millions.
Well, Kiyosaki says it boils down to 2 fundamental human emotions. The first one is fear.
Fear of what?
The fear of not being able to pay your bills, the fear of being fired, of having to start all over again.
And that fear motivates you to seek job security, to work hard for money.
But it rarely motivates you to build freedom.
And what's the second emotion?
Greed. Or, let's say, desire. Once that paycheck lands, the desire for pleasure, for status, for comfort, it kicks in.
So we buy things, a new car, a vacation.
Temporary fixes. But that increased spending just pushes up your need for more money, and it just accelerates the whole cycle. You're trying to use money to soothe your fear and desire, but it just makes them both louder.
Which is why financial education has to come before you make more money.
Yes. He makes the point that just throwing money at a poor cash flow problem doesn't solve it. It just makes the money flow out faster.
I mean, you see it all the time in the stories he tells. The lottery winners, the pro
The
athletes.
high-earning doctors who end up completely broke just a few years after making millions.
That basketball player story is the perfect cautionary tale. The
Uh,
one who made millions and ended up at a car wash.
It's because money's just a magnifier. If your financial operating system is broken, more money just means you crash faster.
So intelligence solves problems, not money alone.
Which leads to the really tough lesson from his rich dad: stop blaming everything else.
Stop blaming your boss, the economy, your low pay.
Right, because if you think the problem is out there, you'll always be a victim. But if you realize the problem is your habits, your lack of knowledge, then and only then can you change yourself.
That's when you take back control.
And that mental shift from being a victim to being an empowered learner, that's the key to understanding his roadmap, the cash flow quadrant.
Absolutely. So the quadrant divides the business world into 4 types of people.
E for employee,
Hmm.
S for self-employed or specialist, B for big business owner, and I for investor.
And the really big idea here is the philosophical difference between the left side of that quadrant and the right side.
On the left side, the E and the S, you are basically exchanging your time for money.
Whether you're a clerk or a highly paid surgeon, if you stop showing up.
The income stops. He uses that great analogy of hauling buckets. If you stop hauling, you stop getting paid. You have security, maybe, but no real freedom.
Whereas the right side, B and I, is fundamentally different.
Totally. Those people focus on building systems and leveraging capital. The B, the business owner, builds the pipeline that other people work in.
And the I, the investor, puts their money into those pipelines to generate returns.
So on the right side, your money is working for you. You have freedom.
And that shift from focusing on security to focusing on freedom leads us right into lesson 3. Mind your own business.
This is so important. It means shifting your focus away from your job, your income column, and onto building your asset column.
Now, he's not saying you should just quit your job tomorrow.
No, not at all. He says keep your daytime job, let it pay the bills.
Yeah.
But your focus, your energy, your extra cash, it all has to be aimed squarely at building genuine cash-flowing assets.
Not just buying more liabilities that make you look good.
Exactly. And the story he uses to really hammer this home is about Ray Kroc and McDonald's.
Right. When Kroc was asked what business he was in, she didn't say hamburgers.
He said his business was real estate.
That is the ultimate lesson in this. Everyone else was focused on the product, the hamburgers.
The immediate income stream. But Kroc never lost sight of the fact that the land, the prime corner location under every single franchise, that was the true, enduring, wealth-generating asset.
So he built McDonald's into the largest single owner of real estate in the world? He was always focused on the asset column first.
So for you listening to this, the takeaway is pretty clear. Use your paycheck to diligently build real assets.
Things like passive businesses, income-generating real estate, stocks, royalties.
The goal is to build a stream of cash from those assets that eventually becomes bigger than your monthly expenses. That's how you escape the rat race.
But to build and manage those assets effectively, you need a specific kind of knowledge, a sophisticated financial IQ.
Right. And he breaks that down into 4 broad areas of expertise. And these are things you just don't learn in school.
Okay, let's break them down because this shows the kind of specialized learning you need to move to the right side of that quadrant.
First up is accounting, or financial literacy. This isn't just balancing your checkbook.
No, it's the ability to read and actually understand financial statements, an income statement, a balance sheet.
It lets you see the real story behind a company or a deal. You can spot a failing investment long before anyone else does. It's the language of business.
Okay, well, second.
Investing. And again, this is more than just buying stocks. He defines it as the science of making money. It includes strategy, risk management.
Understanding formulas for return on investment.
Exactly. Third is understanding markets, the
Mhm.
science of supply and demand, recognizing opportunities and timing.
So that's knowing both the fundamental value of an asset and the kind of the psychology of the market.
If you don't get markets, you'll always be late to the party.
And finally, the 4th skill, which is so often overlooked by people on the left side of the quadrant, the law.
This is huge. It means understanding the tax advantages and the legal protections you get from using a corporation. This is lesson 4, and it reveals a massive gap between the rich and everyone else.
This is where the game is really played differently, isn't it?
It's where it's often won. An employee earns money, immediately pays a huge chunk in taxes, and then spends what's left over.
They're spending post-tax dollars.
Whereas a corporation, a B or an I entity, earns income, legally spends everything it can, first deducting expenses like cars, travel, education.
Vacations become board meetings,
Right. And then it's only taxed on the small amount of profit that's left over. It's a fundamental difference. The rich are spending pre-tax dollars.
which is a massive but legal loophole that dramatically lowers their taxable income.
And beyond the tax benefits, corporations provide layers of legal protection. If you're sued personally, your assets are at risk.
But if your corporation is sued,
The assets are often shielded by that corporate structure. The wealthy control everything, but they often own very little personally.
that level of financial intelligence then feeds right into his next lesson, lesson 5. The rich invent money.
Yeah, and this doesn't mean you need a lot of money to start. It requires creativity, boldness, the courage to act when other people are hesitating.
He says in the real world, it's not always the smartest who get ahead, it's the bold.
And the number one thing holding people back from that genius is fear and self-doubt. The fear of failure just paralyzes people on the E&S side.
They want guarantees, safety.
But people on the B&I side, they see failure as feedback. It's just part of the process, a necessary part of growth.
I love the example he uses of Thomas Edison.
Oh, it's perfect. When someone criticized him for making over 1,000 mistakes trying to invent the light bulb.
He said, I successfully found out what did not work 1,014 times.
Failure inspires winners. It defeats losers. If you want to invent money, you have to be unafraid to lose some along the way.
So at the end of the day, it's an internal game.
Completely. It's about training your mind, your most powerful asset, to manage fear, to overcome cynicism, and to focus on building assets, not just climbing a corporate ladder that might lead nowhere.
That focus brings us perfectly to the final lesson, lesson 6. Work to learn, don't work for money.
This is such a profound shift in career strategy. Instead of just chasing the highest paycheck right now.
You should be looking for jobs based on the skills you want to acquire, skills that will help you build assets later.
Exactly. Like, if you're shy, he says, go get a job in sales, even if the pay isn't great at first.
Why?
Because the ability to sell, to communicate, to negotiate, that's absolutely vital for success as a business owner or an investor. You have to learn how to manage systems, cash flow, and people.
So if you're an E or an S right now, you should be looking at your job as like an apprenticeship.
Yes, an apprenticeship to learn the systems you can later use in your own business or your own investments. It's all about focused intensity.
He even says that balanced people often go nowhere. If you have little money and you want to be rich, you have to be focused.
Which I think raises a really important question for you to consider after this deep dive.
Okay.
Given that advice, that focus is key. Where in your life right now, in your learning, your investments, your career, are you maybe playing it a little too safe when you should be playing it bold?
That is the perfect point to end on. Take a moment and apply that mirror of self-knowledge to your own cash flow patterns. Are you still hauling buckets? Or have you started designing the pipeline? Thank you for diving deep with us today.